Good evening, Middle Georgia. I'm Amanda Peralta.
I'm Greg Lloyd. Amanda and I appreciate you watching WGXA News at 5:30.
Tonight, House Republicans say their case against President Joe Biden has been building to the point they feel they have enough evidence to launch an impeachment inquiry into him. So far, their allegations of bribery and corruption have not been backed up by public evidence.
And critics say the Speaker of the House is cowing to the demands of a handful of conservative Republicans and of former President Trump. As Christine Frizzell reports, it's brought a new level of chaos to Capitol Hill.
House Republicans back on Capitol Hill, wasting no time getting down to what they see as the people's business.
Today, I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy making it official, following what he says is mounting evidence of then Vice President Joe Biden's involvement in his son Hunter Biden's business dealings.
The president joined on multiple phone calls and had multiple interactions. Dinners resulted in cars and millions of dollars into his son's and his son's business partners.
The announcement comes without a formal vote by the House, amid mounting pressure from fellow conservative Republicans, threatening to remove McCarthy from his post, and still dangling the prospect of shutting down the government if other demands are not met.
No continuing resolutions, individual spending bills or bust, votes on balanced budgets and term limits, subpoenas for Hunter Biden and the members of the Biden family.
The days of reckless spending without consequence are over.
Those demands expected to be tacked onto the current fight over passing a budget or continuing resolution by September 30th.
Madam Speaker,
Democrats, meanwhile, calling out GOP lawmakers for extreme hypocrisy, choosing to investigate Joe Biden's family, but not Donald Trump's.
We have records of a $110 billion arms deal between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia that was inflated at the direction of Jared Kushner.
White House spokesman Ian Sams also responded, saying House Republicans have been investigating the president for 9 months and they've turned up no evidence of wrongdoing, calling the move, quote, extreme politics at its worst. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzell.
5 Americans held in an Iranian prison will be brought home soon. That's the word from the State Department Tuesday, announcing that tough negotiations have led to an agreement.
Few details are public about the prisoners, but how their release was secured is highly controversial. Scott Thuman explains why.
New developments in a controversial prisoner swap. U.S. officials releasing 5 detained Iranians and unfreezing $6 billion of Iran's money to be used for humanitarian purposes in exchange for the return of 5 American prisoners
who have been jailed under brutal conditions, one of them for more than 8 years. And the secretary and the president decided that we need to do everything we can to bring them home, and that's what we're doing.
NBC News interviewed Iran's president via a translator.
Are they healthy? Are they well?
Yes, they are very healthy.
But prisoner swaps are controversial since they can encourage other countries to detain Americans while overseas in order to gain leverage. Last year, for example, Russian police arrested American basketball star Brittany Griner for bringing drugs into the country. And to get her back, President Biden authorized a highly scrutinized trade, giving up notorious arms dealer Victor Bout, known as the Merchant of Death.
It's my job as President of the United States to make the hard calls and protect American citizens everywhere in the world, anywhere in the world.
In recent years, America has also released an Afghan drug lord, an Iranian scientist, members of the Taliban, and Cuban and Russian spies, all as trades. Mickey Bergman, who has helped secure these prisoner swaps in the past, like this one in January, involving an American backpacker who ventured into Russian territory, talked to us about the dangerous downside.
Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it because it doesn't feel right. We're releasing guilty people in return for innocent people. Are we incentivizing?
Though he suggests the ultimate goal outweighs the risks.
We need to focus on the fact that we're saving an innocent person's life. It's our obligation to bring them back home.
In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is in Russia today to meet with President Vladimir Putin. Kim will likely ask for economic aid and military technology in exchange for munitions. Analysts say Russia's army could get an extra boost with more munitions. North Korea could also get energy and ask for food supplies. This is Kim's first foreign trip since the pandemic. Former President Trump is asking a court to dismiss several criminal charges against him in the Georgia 2020 election interference case.
It's likely just the beginning of Trump's legal team's arguments to challenge the state-level charges. They indicate Trump wants to adopt the legal arguments his racketeering co-defendants Rudy Giuliani and Kenneth Chesebro have already made in court filings.
Trump is asking for the state charges to be tossed, even as he's already hinted he may ask for the case to be moved to federal court, where he can try to invoke protections for federal officials. His former chief of staff, Mark Meadows' efforts to do that were rejected just last week.
Trump and his lawyers also want a new judge in charge of his federal election interference case, arguing that Tanya Chutkan should recuse herself because of past criticism of the January 6th Capitol riot defendants. A filing alleges in October of last year she called the attack an attempt to violently overthrow democracy and was blind loyalty to one person. They say that criticism would come across as bias against Trump. Let's check back in with the Skywatch weather forecast with a few storms out there that we were hearing just a few minutes ago really loud.
We sure were, Amanda. They were coming down here on the station rooftop in downtown Macon. Meteorologist Ryan Miranda live in the Weather Center tracking them, but also saying there's a payoff, Ryan.
There really is, Greg. Once these storms begin to move out, we got a bit of a nice relief on the way. For now, though, we do have some storms out there. This one cell that was moving through downtown, mostly through areas of Jones and Twiggs, pushing into Wilkinson County. Gordon, Ivy, you're up next with the heavy downpour, even a few rumbles of thunder. But there is a secondary line that's moving through portions of Hancock County right now, really over that area, that could get some of these heavy downpours. I think the graphics are on the wrong system, where it should be on max 2 right now. But this is all ahead of a cold front that's pushing through right now. That's mostly into the Tennessee Valley, and we're not really getting that at the moment, but it's going to take its sweet time getting through here. So we will still be unsettled for the next day or so for tomorrow. But otherwise, we're going to be dealing with some of this off and on showers before the front completely does move through. Behind the front, though, temperatures really north and west of our area are into the 70s, while we are still stuck into the 90s right now. So looking ahead at what really could be coming up, as tomorrow is still going to be unsettled as well. I am still tracking Hurricane Lee in the Atlantic, where that could be headed. Plus, once this front moves out, a first taste of fall. I'll talk more about that coming up in your full forecast.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. It's a great time to download the WGXA weather app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to download the app to your smartphone. Ryan is back in less than 20 minutes with your 10-day forecast.
In the aftermath of a powerful storm, one Massachusetts town finds itself in a state of emergency as residents recover from devastating flash flooding.
The deluge of rainfall wreaked havoc, prompting urgent evacuation, school closures, and caused significant damage to vital infrastructure. Cole Higgins brings us more as Hurricane Lee's trajectory looms in the Atlantic.
This is one of the most severe storms I've seen in my career as a firefighter for the last 26 years in the town.
Central Massachusetts inundated with torrential rains and catastrophic flash flooding late Monday.
In a matter of about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, our house went from absolutely not a drop of water to 6 feet of water. 6 feet? 6 feet.
A state of emergency declared in Leominster, where the storm knocked out power to hospitals and nursing homes. Officials rescuing several stranded motorists from their vehicles.
I'm standing on 4 feet of debris.
Forecasters estimate 11 inches of rainfall pounded the region within a mere 6-hour period, flooding at least 200 homes and causing significant damage to vital infrastructure.
And the majority of these are related to flooding and water issues.
Torrents of water creating sinkholes and washing away roadways, prompting school closures and emergency evacuations.
We had a number of residents who ignored the blocked areas and decided to drive their cars through there anyway, getting them stuck, making our work more difficult.
As Central Massachusetts grapples with the aftermath of relentless downpours, New England is keeping a close eye on Hurricane Lee's trajectory.
We do acknowledge that there's a hurricane coming that we're watching. We got our eye on that.
The Category 3 storm currently looms in the Atlantic, posing a potential threat to New England. I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
It's been a record-shattering year for weather disasters in the U.S., and there's still 3 months to go. NOAA's latest data shows there have been 23 extreme weather events costing at least $1 billion. That beats out the 2020 record of 22 with 3 months left to go. NOAA added $8 billion events to the list in the last month. Now that includes Hurricane Idalia and the wildfires in Maui, as well as a hailstorm in Minnesota and deadly flooding in the Northeast.
And while it looks like the mid-state won't see impacts from any of the storms brewing in the tropics right now, it's only a matter of time before the next storm blows through. The Make It Big EMA and the Red Cross want everyone to be prepared for when that happens. They're doing that with 2 emergency shelter training sessions. The first they held today. People got the chance to learn the ins and outs of being a volunteer when the worst happens, from how to identify someone's needs to how shelters are run.
It's very important that we educate the public on this, is because this way, in the event that they need to participate or there's a need for extra hands on deck, in the event that Red Cross or our EMA partners or our local state government partners need a hand, the end user or the participant in the class would be able to actually lend a hand.
The next session is next Wednesday, also at City Hall. You're encouraged to register ahead of time, but walk-ins are welcome if there's room.
Well, despite a recent rise in COVID cases and new variants, most Americans aren't worried about COVID anymore, and a majority don't plan on getting the latest vaccine. A CBS News poll finds 45% of Americans say they're currently worried about themselves or a family member getting infected. In April 2020, the percentage of people worried was at 77%. In March of 2021, 68% were worried about infection and 55% were worried last year. Just 43% say they plan to get that new vaccine.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, the former top infectious disease expert in the U.S., is calling for caution over the new coronavirus outbreak. COVID-related cases and hospitalizations have been on the rise since July, causing some schools to cancel classes or move to online learning. And pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Moderna are working on updated vaccines for the fall. Despite this, Fauci says he does not expect any future federal mask mandates.
I would be extremely surprised if we would see that. There may be local organizations that may require masks, but I think what we're going to see mostly, if the cases go up, that there might be recommendations, not mandates.
The current federal guidelines recommend that people wear a mask when around others for 10 days after exposure to COVID. And don't miss a special town hall edition of Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson tonight at 7. Cheryl will be sitting down with health experts to discuss new research into the long-term health effects of the coronavirus. Just go to our website, WGXA.tv, and search Full Measure Town Hall. You can submit questions to the panel and check the YouTube link where you can watch the town hall live tonight. As we continue to analyze climate change and the shift to warmer temperatures, something that may slide without much acknowledgement are summertime nights.
Our meteorologist Ryan Miranda is in the studio tonight with why hot nights could be worse than hot days. Ryan?
Greg, Amanda, since 1970, Climate Central says we've gained about 2.6 degrees in our average low temperature across the United States. Not only are nights warming faster, but they can also cause bigger health and financial issues. After a sweltering summer day, we can always count on the sun going down and the temperatures to follow. But in a warming world, the cooler summer nights may be sizzling out.
So overnight lows, or those very early morning temperatures, are warming at twice the rate of our daytime high temperatures, and they can have profound impacts on our health.
That's Lauren Casey, a meteorologist for Climate Central, who is saying when people are looking for heat relief the most at night, they're having a harder time cooling off.
But what's even more so can be more dangerous for our bodies are those overnight lows that don't cool down, that only drop down to 75 degrees, even worse, 80 degrees. We open that window even further to the risk of heat illnesses.
Not only is it physical, but also financial. Higher air conditioning demands means higher energy bills as the extra money goes straight out of your wallet just to keep you comfortable. Not to mention, air conditioning isn't the cleanest for the environment and pollution.
And that economic hit can, of course, take a toll on our mental health as well. And you don't want to have to make the decision between your health and can I pay my energy bill? It's not a choice we should be forced into making.
An average of 2.6 degrees of warming may sound minimal compared to flash flood washing away houses, tornadoes, whipping winds, or thunderstorms, cracks of lightning. It is still a big number, though, especially since heat is the deadliest weather-related hazard in the United States, according to the National Weather Service. It was a near-record year of heat alerts in Middle Georgia. 17 heat advisories were issued when feels-like temperatures surged over 105. The record is 18 set back in 2015. 3 excessive heat warnings were issued, the most we've had since the record year back in 2007, with 4 when feels-like temperatures scorched above 110. Even after all these very hot afternoons, our bodies are less and less able to cool off effectively.
Make sure you're keeping yourself cool. Make sure you're keeping yourself hydrated. Make sure you're checking on your neighbors, your relatives that are elderly, those vulnerable populations.
And most of this is due to high humidity, which also makes relaxing temperatures harder as the air can hold more water to make the morning commute that much more sticky and uncomfortable. And this is what some of the numbers look like out over the state and how our nights have been warming since 1970. Albany has warmed the most, over 6 degrees. Our nights are getting warmer. Atlanta's the next highest with almost 4 degrees of warmth. An outlier, though, in Macon, really seeing negligible warming, which is definitely some good news. And urban areas can have this problem worsened. Blacktop and pavement hold heat longer, making the nights warmer.
The urban heat island effect, where we get all the asphalt, all the gray surfaces, our infrastructure, re-radiating that heat, making those temperatures even hotter. Some cases up to about 10 plus degrees than you would see at the same time in adjacent rural areas.
But one easy way to fix this can be trees, which Macon Bibb is already going after by continuing to greenify the streets near downtown with recent projects. And we only do have 11 more days of the summer season left before we get to the fall equinox, but it's going to be feeling like fall, a little hint of it by this weekend. On our muggy meter, dew points tomorrow and Thursday still going to be tropical, right around 70 degrees, but we have a front that's pushing through. So Friday, Saturday, the dew points potentially in the upper 50s, so it's going to be feeling very refreshing and with a lot of sunshine too. So let's go out to Mercer University with our Wilson Bryant Heating and Air Skycast Network. This is a time lapse of a storm that pushed through about 30 minutes or so ago with some heavy downpours, a few rumbles of thunder, but most of us aren't seeing any of this rain out there, but most of us are still feeling like summer. Feels like 97 right now in Macon, feels like 93 in Irvington, but notice in Gray, much cooler, 80 degrees, rain cool. It also feels like 94 degrees in Hawkinsville. So they're far and few between with the storms out there right now. That one that was moving through downtown in Bibb County continues to push to the east, southern portions of Jones, northern Twiggs County. Dry Branch just got this, pushing into Wilkinson County, Gordon, Ivy, a few rumbles of thunder, some heavy down downpours are on the way, and another line of storms right now. It's kind of breaking apart. It's pushing through Hancock County, Sparta, Devereaux. Had a few rumbles of thunder there as well, but that's beginning to clear out. All of this, though, is ahead of a cold front that's stretching across the Great Lakes all the way down into Texas, but it's going to really be slowly moving over the next 2 days, keeping us a bit unsettled at times until about Friday. So even tonight, we still could have a few rumbles of thunder by about 10 o'clock. Tomorrow morning could start with some damp areas. We could even have some fog developing. So if you're out early, keep those high beams off if you see any fog. But even tomorrow afternoon, we'll have a few more storms that'll be firing up by around 5 o'clock or so around this time tomorrow. So right now also, Hurricane Lee churning in the Atlantic, a Category 3 storm, winds of 115 miles per hour, slowly moving to the northwest at 7 miles per hour. We'll continue to track to the north. Impacts here in middle Georgia, little to none if we'll see any. Likely going to be making landfall somewhere between Maine and Nova Scotia as a low-end Category 1 storm that could even bring some dangerous rip currents across the entire East Coast. So if you are headed down to any of the southeastern beaches, you do want to be careful with the water. Those waves will be very high over the next few days. And back here at home, though, in your 10-day forecast, a few scattered thunderstorms tomorrow up to about 90 degrees. We do it again on Thursday with that stalled out front over top of us with a high up to 88 degrees, but then a breath of fresh air. Check out these temperatures, a high of only 84 degrees on Friday. The last time we were really this cool was in the middle of June, so some nice weather's on the way. Saturday really is going to be the best day. 84 degrees, mostly sunny, very comfortable humidity. Sunday looks to be there another front that pushes through, but this one looks to move a little bit quicker, so a few more scattered thunderstorms for the second half of the weekend on Sunday with a high of 84 degrees. But back to work next week, still looking really nice. Bright sunshine on Monday, 86, and we do it again on Tuesday. Sunny with a high up to 86 degrees. And lastly, here's your Harrison's Body Shop fishing game forecast. Peaks at 1:40 a.m. and 7:40 p.m. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gary Thigpen, and I'm here again today at the Humane Society of Houston County. And normally we do show you dogs in these segments, but they wanted to show you a very special cat. So, Dee, I'm joined again with you today. And who are we going to present today?
This is Tiger, and she's about a year old, and she's pretty much a dilute calico. And as you can tell, she's extremely calm.
Very sweet, too.
And gets along with all the other kitties
Yeah.
out there, too.
All right, so like we said, we normally show you dogs, but we have the cat here for adoption. And Dee, if someone would like to adopt Tiger, how would they go about doing that?
They would fill out our application on the Humane Society of Houston County website. Please allow 7 to 10 days to process your application. We are all volunteer organizations, so a lot of people work jobs too.
And you see how sweet and how calm Tiger is. So if you would like to adopt her, let's go ahead and get on the website and let's go ahead and get that filled out. And let's find Tiger a really, really good home. Thank you so much, Dee.
Thank you.
Get ready to celebrate one of the most versatile nuts of them all, the peanut. September 13th is National Peanut Day, which is tomorrow, and peanuts are actually legumes, and they fall in the same family as peas and beans. They grow underground like potatoes, and the peanut plant likely originated in South America perhaps 3,500 years ago. It was into the 1800s that records show peanuts were first grown as a commercial crop in the U.S. and grew in popularity. Dr. George Washington Carver, a black scientist and inventor, was researching peanuts and encouraged farmers to grow them. Peanuts pack a ton of protein, are high in antioxidants, rich in magnesium, iron, and zinc, and you can enjoy peanuts in desserts and savory dishes and in its creamy form of peanut butter.
Peanut butter, I have it every single morning. Okay, creamy peanut butter, far superior than crunchy peanut butter.
Yes, actually I agree with that. I love creamy
And you need it with rice cakes, peanut butter, slices of banana. It's my breakfast every day. It gets me going every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Don't
It's
you
so
get bored
good.
though?
Nope, they're so good. It like makes my life. It's crunchy, it's creamy, it's peanut buttery.
Well, if it will make you that energetic, I need to switch because
You
I
do.
wanted to argue and be the dissenter here and say crunchy peanut butter.
No,
What's
no,
wrong with the two of you?
no.
We are not
yes,
just crunchy.
Yes, crunchy.
You're not doing life correctly.
Crunchy.
And also Jif. Jif's better than Skippy though.
I'm not doing life correctly. That's so funny and so true in so many ways. And really, so you have man, you got this all figured
It has
out.
to be Jif though. Can't be Skippy. Skippy's gross.
No, I
I
like
hope they're not a
Skippy.
sponsor.
I'm gonna have to make a
I
tier
like
list.
I like them all.
I
all
hope they
right?
are a sponsor because I like their peanut butter. Jif is like so
Oh my
mid.
gosh. Well,
that's mid.
That's going to do it for WGXA News at 5.
We invite you to join us in this conversation at 6 on ABC 16.
We'll see you there. Have a great night.